Pirelli Gt4 America brings its unique brand of rough and tumble road racing to the Lone Star State today and the iconic Circuit of the Americas. A field of GT4 cars over 2 score deep has assembled in a jam-packed paddock as part of SRO America's return to this track. This season has proven to be as thrilling as it has been unpredictable, with late race heroics and photo finishes part and parcel with the action on the track. Welcome to Cota. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish joins me in the broadcast booth, and Amanda Busick will be our eyes and our ears down in the pit lane. GT4 cars, Calvin, already on the track. First of 2 formation laps is complete, so next time by, we'll wrap them up and start this race.
Weather's a little bit better than it was at NOLA.
Yes.
We lost the second race there due to extreme track conditions, so we'll make that one up at Sebring later in the season. But what a field we have here once again with this GT4 championship. 3 different classes, all fiercely contested, and this racetrack should make for some very good side-by-side racing action all afternoon long.
Let's get to the starting grid, and it is a big one with this many cars in the field, 41 in all. And we'll take a look now at how they line up for the first of 2 races this weekend here in Austin, Texas, at the iconic Circuit of the Americas, home of the U.S. Grand Prix. Looks like we might be waiting, might be skipping that grid. Not sure we have enough time for it, quite frankly, with so many cars and just half a lap to go. Just half a lap to go before we go green here, Calvin. Let's talk about the track, though. It is a great circuit, nearly 3.5 miles, 20 turns in length. Man, this place packs a bunch of challenge.
It does, and these GT4 cars are really well suited. They're not quite as rigid as a GT3 car around here, so the suspension is more compliant to eat up some of these curbs that you're looking at here through the tail end of the S's.
Fast section here through these S's, but then you get to the tight, twisty portion based off of the stadium section in Hockenheim. And then another high-speed run down to the final corner, back onto the front straightaway, and you start a whole new lap again here at Circuit of the Americas. Great qualifying effort by the Skip Barber Racing School team. A Toyota GR Supra GT4 Evo starting on the pole. Matt Forbush, we expect, will be taking the start in that car. Very cool to see him have the success. In fact, it's an all-Supra front row with Tyler Maxson starting alongside for Copeland Motorsports. That's a Pro-Am car and a silver car starting first and second, Calvin.
Yeah, it's pretty wild when you get the mix-up of these classes here. So it's always an interesting dynamic in terms of how you manage that. And when you got other cars around you, and do you fight them? How hard do you fight them? You try to create a buffer around other class positions. So that all adds to the drama here.
Might actually be Auto Technic starting on the front row. There could have been some changes to the grid since I saw it last, so we'll get that all sorted out. Indeed, it is a BMW joining them on the front row. So we got a BMW sandwich between a couple of Supras in the qualifying results. Then you get to the first of the Mercedes runners right behind. And as ever, the field is totally mixed up. Pro-Am, Silver, Am, all thrown together. It's hard to tell who's fighting for what exactly. We'll do our best to parse through it as the race goes along. Lights are out on the safety car. Toyota GR Supra safety car, in fact. Official vehicle of SRO America. The field now just starting to get into alignment. About half the field is, but it is a deep field. It takes a while to get everyone 2 by 2. They've got a couple more corners to get it sorted out. No tire warmers in this series, so these first few laps could be hairy as they bring the tires up to temperature with a field this jam-packed with star power. Here we go. It is Maxson who will start on the pole for Copeland Motorsports. He's got the Auto Technic BMW to his outside in perfect alignment as they come into the VP acceleration zone, just waiting for that green flag to wave from the starter stand. It's a different start line to the finish line here at Circuit of the Americas. There's the green flag, and we are racing. Race 1 of the weekend for Pirelli Gt4 America is underway.
Great start by our pole sitter. Now the BMW slots to the outside, trying to look away around the cushion there out of turn 1, has to give it up. Pole sitter man,
big coming together there at the center of the field. Looks like Tim Pappas in the McLaren Artura is a big part of that, the number 97 car, also with some serious damage. I'm not sure he's going to take further part in the action, and it looks like Pappas might be pulling off track as well.
Oh, it's a shame that McLaren has really shown tremendous speed here this weekend. His teammates Ron Bleekemolen and put the car on pole for race 2 here for tomorrow's action.
Side by side, this is for the lead. Anderson up the inside, and he takes the spot away.
Wow. Did he make a nice move there, nice and tidy. Looked like the Supra slipped a little bit, and Anderson was there to pounce.
Needs to go now before the safety car is deployed, and just like that, safety car intervention. Oh, we've got another car. That's Karas Racing Team car on the pit lane. And now the field starts to slow.
Well, that must have happened on the formation lap.
Yeah.
He's in pit lane as the field is just going through half a lap.
Double yellows displayed for that turn 1 incident, and you know, unfortunately, it's a little bit predictable. 41 cars funneling into that turn. It's a very neat turn, great passing opportunity, but the way that it goes from being so wide to pretty darn narrow there at the apex, especially on these rolling starts, it lends itself to action like that.
Yeah, it's just like a funnel effect. You come from this big wide group and suddenly everyone's trying to get down towards the apex, and typically there's one car too many.
Let's take a look at the way this race started and why we are behind the safety car here after just half a lap of racing. Maxon did a good job from pole, but it's about halfway through this pack where it gets 4, maybe even 5 wide, where it all goes wrong.
Yeah, you can see right down there the apex there. I think it's Elias Sabo involved there in that bright orange and gray Aston Martin. He comes out of it barely.
There were several cars that were certainly involved, had contact, but were able to continue on. Looks like maybe right front damage there for Pappas on that McLaren, and that's why he was forced to stop.
And that Porsche is not going anywhere. I don't think left rear is completely torn.
That's right. Safety car picks up the leader, Zach Anderson. It's now silver class cars 1, 2, and 3. Anderson leading from Maxon. Jesse Webb got a nice start there for Conquest Racing. Runs in the 3rd spot. Then Kevin Conway for Smooge Racing in the 1st of the Supras. Johan Schwartz, John Miller, the rest of the top 6. Then Kevin Bowe, Matt Travis, Charlie Postins, and Hannah Grisham in the 2nd placed AM class car. Top 2 in AM, 9th and 10th overall after 1 lap.
Hannah does have experience at this racetrack, so they're trying to take advantage of that. 51 car leads this race right now, and they're running 2nd in the silver class points after 3 races so far this year with a win and a podium finish behind them. They're chasing after that Conquest Racing machine. Jesse Webb and Mackay Stevens been doing a great job this year, a couple of wins and a 2nd place, so they're hitting all of their marks once again, as we expect from that group.
Yeah, they've been fantastic, that's for sure. Let's check down with the 3rd member of our broadcast crew for the first time in this show. How are you, Amanda?
You guys were talking about Conquest Racing and that runner-up finish. Well, that was that wild finish in New Orleans, trumped by these guys at the line. And JCD, I know you told me that not only have you looked at that photo many times, you now have it printed. Just recap that moment for us.
You know, it was the roller coaster. I felt like I got him there at the line, and when I came on the radio, they told me, you know, it looks like we're P2 on the sheets right now. Made our way to winner's circle, and they waved us in. And at that moment, it was a realization that we had done it. We would have never been there without my co-driver Zach's performance, and I have to say, all year he's been pulling his weight and putting us in an awesome position. He just took the pass for the lead here in this race, so hats off to him for putting us there for up in the top spot so that I could actually have that opportunity. Mackay is one of my good friends here and a high level respect. The amount of commitment it took for him to get to the outside and get by me and keep it on the road was just mind-blowing, and nothing but utmost respect. So to have a photo like that on the wall with a guy that I truly respect, it's a very special thing, and I'll never forget that moment.
I was standing by as we just started this race, and you talked about Zach Anderson putting you in the position and then taking the lead of this race already. But you also said that you feel really good about today. Why is that?
Yeah, I just know that this team's will to fight, even if the lap times aren't showing us what we want to see. We've just always been a team that's raced better than we've done lap times, and so today when we came into the race, we just put our heads down and we said, you know, whatever happens, happens, and the chips are going to fall where they're going to fall, but we're going to do everything in our power to get it up front and keep it there. And I think we got the car to do it at this track. The BMW seems to be very suited to Cota. It handles the curbs well, and it's got a good straight line. So you never know what's going to happen in these races. I always say GT4 racing is the hardest racing I do. It's the most door-to-door combat that you'll have out on a racetrack. You got the best out here working and coaching, and a lot of up-and-coming talent. So you just a whole pool of talent and different personalities, and it's just an honor to be here. As grassroots guys, Zach and I have worked at schools. We've done everything from autocross to just club days, and to be sharing a car with a guy like that and both be coming from the same backgrounds and on our way to hopefully GT3 as our goal. Yeah, it's just really special to be a part of this team, and we're going to do everything in our power to give them the best result that they can get.
Thank you, JCD.
Thank you, Amanda. It's always a pleasure.
Pretty cool story. Two guys in John Capestre-Dubet's JCD and Zach Anderson sharing that car that have scrapped and clawed to get chances.
Yeah.
And have taken full advantage of it.
They really are. There's some real talent in this field. They may not be the household names of some of our competitors, but certainly JCD, guys like Jason Hart on the back of a couple of championships, these guys are really talented.
Have a chance, since we're still behind the safety car, to hear a few more stories from the pit lane with Amanda.
I'll just give you a quick update on the Caris Calais team. Terry Borchella, I saw him talking on the radio to Nick Shaney as they left the pit lane. It was a cut tire for Nick, and he said with this full course yellow, go, 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 so he could catch up to the field. So for the Toyota Supra, not out yet, but we'll be at the back of this field.
Apologies there, Amanda. Good update on the Caris Calais team. And now let's hear more about the Smooge Racing operation that currently runs in fourth.
I'm Kevin Conway, and I am the team principal here at Smooge Racing. Team principal encompasses many different hats, from driving in the GT4 America Series with John Jesbray and our Toyota GR Supra GT4 Evo, it's a mouthful, and also coordinating our new GR Cup efforts and really creating an opportunity to bring drivers into the SRO series and introduce them to professional racing and help them progress in their careers to ultimately what we hope to be the highest levels of motorsports throughout the world. In 2021, we had the opportunity to become a part of the GT4 America Series. Toyota was just introducing the new GR Supra GT4 car, and I had had a previous relationship with Toyota, background in NASCAR, and in those days I said, hey, we know how Toyota and TRD approach racing, and that really aligned to our values and to what we want to achieve, and we know that they're committed to excellence and committed to winning, and it really helps us kind of create a ladder system to help younger drivers make that transition from go-karts or from club racing into professional racing. They can experience the GR Cup, single make racing, ultra competitive, great purse, great hospitality, and gives us the ability to also introduce them to GT4 racing and ultimately GT3. So it's been a lot of fun racing with John in the GT4 America Series. We had success right out of the box in 2021. You know, it doesn't disappoint anytime you have over 40 GT4 cars in a series. It's one of the most competitive GT4 fields anywhere in the world. So we're continuing to learn and grow, and you know, our expectations are to absolutely be in contention for the championship and to win races and contend for podiums week in, week out. Anything other than that is just not acceptable. So our goals for Smooge Racing are to really live up to our ethos, which is to do what we love with those that we love. And we love racing, and we love being around the Smooge Racing family. And every person that's a part of this team, every guy and girl that is, whether a driver or mechanic or engineer, just really glad to be a part of the SRO paddock, and look forward to continuing to win races, win championships, and have a lot of fun with the people we love.
Great to hear from Kevin Conway and the Smooge Racing team, and perfect timing as well. The safety car is pulled off, and we see the leader moving into the VP acceleration zone to restart this race. 9.5 minutes in, waiting for that green flag for the leader, Zach Anderson. He starts to accelerate away, and there it is, green flag. We're back racing at Circuit of the Americas.
Great restart there by Zach Anderson. Controls it nicely. You see the fourth car in line. That's Kevin Conway, who leads Pro-Am right now.
2 and 3 wide into turn 1 on this restart. Oh, looks like a big lunge further back.
Schwartz, big move, grabs the lead in Pro-Am and looking for more.
Side by side, entering the S's. This is some close stuff. Anderson, though, able to control that lead on the restart. He grabbed the lead just before we went full course yellow a few moments ago. Maxson settling in second.
Battle Battles all the way through this field. You saw Ray Newell aboard the Heart of Racing Aston Martin. They're sharing that car once again with Roman DeAngelis, now going to be the full-time driver pairing for the rest of the year. They're looking for great things here today.
Webb is the third car in line, that Mercedes. There, like you said, Johann Schwartz able to jump up a couple of spots. Kevin Conway, who we heard from a moment ago, he's getting eaten up here on this restart. He's dropped a few positions.
Kevin Bohm there with a nice solid start as well, aboard the Random Vandals Racing with CrowdStrike entry.
Bohm, multi-time touring car champion in SRO America, told me though that driving this rear-wheel drive BMW here is almost a completely foreign experience compared to what he's used to in his front-wheel drive Hondas in the past.
Yeah, so much success with front-wheel drive cars. There's a learning process, but he's got a great teammate in Ken Cook to try and teach him the ropes, so to speak. Won't take him long. Great pedigree with Kevin.
Absolutely. Battles all throughout this field. Everywhere you look, someone's in the middle of a fight. Great look there at the Tech Sport Nissan. So good to have Nissan here, and around goes the Supra, the number 37 car. That will be costly. That was from a decent position in the mid-pack.
So easy to get tipped through some of these corners here. Top three, all silver class cars. Then you got your Pro-Am leader, Johann Schwartz.
The spinning car, by the way, was Matt Forbush from the Skip Barber Racing School team. Side-by-side drag race here. Conway and Bohm down the front straightaway. Bohm able to clear him before the braking zone. Looks like Matt Travis there fighting a little bit further
he's
back.
in deep. In too deep. Just gets in the ABS and washes out wide. Going to fight coming off the corner. 3 wide.
And that's a battle with the AM class leader, Charlie Postins. Then side by side, you see Daniel Hanley and Hannah Grisham, 2 cars in different classes as well. Hanley, a silver class car. That's the predominantly white Supra. And Grisham in the Heart of Racing car from Aston Martin.
Great battles throughout this field. Postins is having a great season once again, teaming up with James Clay. We thought he might be out of the action, but he decided to come back this year. Already grabbed a win, sits second in points in the AM class. Selvdorf aboard the 19 machine. He'll share that car with Andrew Davis a little bit later in this race.
Young man without a ton of experience, but he's been quick. This TR38 car hopping the curb there, leaving that BMW vulnerable. Again, this speed shot down the back straightaway, giving you an idea of just how quick these GT4 machines are.
Anderson has just taken off here, so using that momentum of that brilliant victory at NOLA. It was literally a photo finish. It turned the tide in terms of what the timing and scoring results were showing us that day, and they've created this as a launch pad into another strong run here. Big lead early.
John Miller just took away a position overall from Johann Schwartz. That brings him now to the back of the top 3 in his silver class. So Miller will take off in pursuit of Anderson, Maxson, and Webb. And that then puts Schwartz in a position to defend from Kevin Bohm, who is closing in.
Right now, Anderson is in a league of his own in terms of where he sits on the racetrack and his lap times as well. Let's see if the rest of the pack can settle in here and come back at him.
Keep an eye on that Mercedes that runs in the 3rd spot. Talking to Jesse Webb and Mackay Stevens earlier this weekend, they feel pretty vulnerable on these long straightaways. Don't feel like they've got the same straight line pace as some of their rivals, and you can kind of see that developing there. Miller in the tow, able to jump to the inside and grab that spot away from the Canadian Webb.
That's tough. That's really tough to race that way when you're so vulnerable on every single straightaway. They got lap time in that car, but you just keep getting shuffled further down the deck. Takes a lot of discipline not to just panic or drive too aggressively there. They got the championship lead, so they can't afford to get too feisty here with this deep field.
There is Kevin Bohm making that transition from front-wheel drive touring cars into the GT4 ranks.
He's flying as well. He just ran a lap time as quick as our leader right now at 16.2, so he's got a lot of pace there.
That is impressive because he'll be the first to raise his hand and say, I'm still learning this rear-wheel drive thing. He's got a ton of experience. He's won amateur national championships, won touring car championships here at SRO America, but rear-wheel drive as far as racing is concerned is totally new. Now he has plenty of test mileage in rear-wheel drive cars as part of his role as an engineer for Honda here in North America.
He's just so smart, so savvy, just reads races really well, understands the equipment. At times during his last couple of years where he had to really manage the equipment during the heat of the summer at times, but just displays a lot of poise all of the time.
Running right in front of him is the Dane, Johann Schwartz. You know, most of the time, he would probably have the title of most accomplished drifter in the paddock, but with Dai Yoshihara joining in the touring car ranks, I'd like to see a drift off between those two. Meanwhile, problems here for one of the Heart of Racing cars. I think that's, yeah, Gray Newell, the car he shares with Roman DeAngelis. Not sure what caused it, but that has cost him dearly. He was running 15th overall before the incident. And now let's take a look. Ooh. I think that was assisted.
Yeah, for sure. It's a shame for a team that coming off a victory already this season here in Roman DeAngelis at NOLA.
I think that might have been Ross Schwest and another Aston that was there.
Yeah, that's the championship leader. So I'll be curious to see if they get a penalty for that one.
John Miller on that last lap got around Tyler Maxson and now runs second. So it's BMW, Toyota, Mercedes, BMW in the top 5 overall as it stands. Top 4 positions, by the way, held by silver class competitors. Then the leader in Pro-Am is Johann Schwartz.
Yeah, now Miller's got up to second. He just ran a lap as quick as your leader, so be curious to see if he can close that gap down to Zach Anderson, which is battle overall and in silver.
This battle here features Matt Travis in the Noah Sport Porsche, with Charlie Poston's the leader in AM behind, and we've seen these two mixing it up already in this race.
Yeah, different classes once again. Travis in Pro-Am, Charlie Poston's sharing that car with James Clay on the back of an AM championship win last season for Bimmer World.
And that duo made it sound like last year they were going to walk off into the sunset with that championship win, but sure enough, Sonoma rolls around and there they are on the entry list ready to defend the title.
Well, they just love it, and you may make a decision at the end of a long season, but then when you, spin.
Kevin Bohm spins out of 6th overall.
That was a strange one there.
Looked like he was trying to put some pressure on Johann Schwartz at the time of the spin, but a rare error, at least it appears that way from Kevin.
Yeah, he took the words out of my mouth. I don't remember ever seeing him making a mistake like that before, so.
Well, he's probably used to putting his foot to the floor when he starts to spin. That's what you do in a front-wheel drive car, after all. Look at it again. What do you make of this, Cal?
See how it develops here. He's trying to get a run. He's on the outside. Oh, he just puts the wheel on the curb on the outside. Maybe it's a little bit dirty there. So I think he was forced out wide there by Johann a little bit. Just got up on the curb at turning, and maybe he just didn't have the grip in the right rear when he turned into the corner.
Looked like that cost him at least 3 spots. We'll see when they cross the line here. Battle is on. This is Jesse Webb defending from Tyler Maxson, who was hard on that headlight flasher button. Closing up on the Mercedes for the final step of the podium in silver.
I think Webb has gone around Maxson, right? Maxson had the track position on Webb there.
Yep.
So that's a change of position in the other direction. Meanwhile, Miller's gone on the attack, but running almost identical lap times within 100th of a second to our leader, Zach Anderson. So that gap remains just shy of 4 seconds up front.
One thing to keep an eye on, I did survey the paddock about tire wear here at this track, and keep in mind the BMWs at NOLA were in particular struggling to keep their tires underneath them, but the BMW teams I spoke with here are really bullish on their chances to keep their tires pretty well preserved, and that's important in these races because these are 60-minute races, yes, and there is a pit stop, but there are no tire changes.
Yeah, it's nothing like you see at NOLA and at Sonoma for that matter in terms of looking at the GT3 race, using that as a baseline. I mean, we saw lap times within about 3/4 of a second at the end of a run versus the beginning, so that's a pretty minimal drop-off there.
point earlier about Miller matching Anderson. They were nearly identical in their lap times. They were identical to the 10th of a second. Just fractions between them. The lead is 3.7 seconds ahead of this battle here. So Webb has made his way up around Maxon, but at times it does look like that Supra might be stronger certain points of the track. He might have had a run into turn 1 the last time around.
Tyler Maxon, such a young talent. Most of that success early in his career has come with this Copeland Motorsports team.
A couple of touring car championships in TC America back in 2019 and 2020 for Copeland. He's run a couple different touring car platforms over his short career. He's done a little bit of prototype racing as well. Did run at the 24 Hours of Dubai in 2022. But right at home, it would appear, in this GT4 car, running in the silver class.
Anderson has unleashed a fast one, took that fast lap of the race down into the 15 range, and has gapped Miller by about 3/10 on that last lap up front. The rest of this group gives chase. Seems like Auto Technique have really found a sweet spot with this new BMW M4. Not many races under their belts, but certainly has shown really strong early in the season.
And, you know, you might say, well, they've been a BMW team for a long time. Wouldn't you expect that? But every driver I have talked to, every team member I've talked to that has sampled both will say, this is not an evolution. This is a revolution in terms of what BMW has brought to the table this year with this new M4 GT4, the updated platform.
Yeah, they've really upped the ante in terms of their customer racing program. Built so many solid race cars now, got great support. And it's a popular choice.
For good reasons, had a tremendous amount of success. Certainly the old M4 GT4 did. And everyone is raving about what the updates have done to unlock the potential of this car. Looks sharp as well. Brings it a bit more in line visually with the GT3 offering from BMW 2. It's great to have BMW so involved in sports car racing these days, from factory prototypes all the way down to customer programs in GT3, GT4, and even in the touring car ranks.
Schwartz here, putting the pressure here on Tyler Maxon. Schwartz continues to lead in Pro-Am. Kevin Conway sits in second aboard the Smooth Racing machine right there. Didn't have the best start of this race, but Conway's hanging tough now. Schwartz is ever up on the wheel, looking for opportunities.
It's great to have him back. He had a little bit of time away from the championship after dominating in touring cars for a number of years for this Rooster Hall team. He's got a talented co-driver he'll be turning it over to in Colin Garrett, who has raced here already once today. Had a decent run in TC America and raced here earlier this year in the NASCAR Truck Series race that was held at Circuit of the Americas. Had a top 20 run.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how he performs up against guys like Jason Hart, for example, for the NOLA Sport entry in the second half of this race. Not going to come easy, but the win is potentially there today.
Battle shaping up here for 7th overall, not for class position, but Travis in the Porsche from NOLA Sport, that familiar livery he's run for a number of years now, with the Cougar on the front, shades of Talladega Nights.
Oh, I'm looking for a way by.
Yes.
He's back up on the wheel. He's probably want to make up for that little error that he had.
Look at that, really sent it in around the outside. He's got a lot of oversteer, though, through the high-speed S's offline. Keep in mind, there have been a lot of races here today, and offline there could be quite a bit of marble buildup to contend with.
Yeah, and right behind him sits Charlie Boston's the AM leader. He's having another great run, just so consistent. They always seem to be knocking on the door for that M-Class victory, even though Terry Borscheller and Nick Shanny have a healthy lead right now.
Not too far behind. It's the BMW right here at the back of the train is the second place car in the AM class. It's also from the Auto Technic stable. Sanikal Kalsa having his best run of the year. And the pit window, just like that, Calvin, is open.
Came up in a hurry, didn't it?
No kidding.
10 minutes to work with, 81 minimum pit stop time from pit in to pit out, including the service. No tire changes. We did have that thing at NOLA where they were allowing the GT4 cars to make a single tire change just because of the abrasive nature of the circuit there, but this is no tire changes, driver change, just it's all about execution. Now the release of the car is typically the big factor there.
It's the aforementioned Calsa for Auto Technique, turning some good laps right now. He's got Daniel Hanley in a silver class entry right behind, and here we go. First cars to the pit lane, Travis and Bohm actually behind this trio. So Webb will turn it over to Stevens. Maxon is in, Gonzalez will take that car over. John Jesbray waiting to jump aboard the Smooth Racing Super 2.
Casual stop there for the Copeland boys. I didn't even see anyone over the wall with a tire gauge to monitor the pressures there. It looked like it's just going to be a driver change. Maybe the crew having an ice cream or something. It's pretty warm down there.
Here we go. This is so well rehearsed between the drivers making the change. Some drivers will help upon exiting the car. Other teams will use a helper to get the new driver buckled in.
Now here behind the wheel, bringing the car in, turn over to Allen.
STR38, the team, an offshoot of ST Racing. We're running fourth prior to the pit stops.
Seems a lot quicker than everyone else.
Yes. It's the Krug-Speed car. Perhaps they could have been in on the previous lap.
Okay, yeah, that would make more sense.
That would be my best guess. Anthony Girazzi, Jaden Lander, the driving pairing there. And here we go. Let's watch the race off of pit lane. Who comes out in front? I think I saw an Auto Technic BMW winning that race.
Not always the leaders who have that first
That's
opportunity to pit, so you're correct. We could have had someone dive in just as the pit window opened a little bit deeper in the pack, and hence they leave a lot earlier than everyone else that we saw come down pit lane.
Yeah, I know that Krug-Speed team, they were kind of in the wars there early on, so maybe they were a little bit further back and could take advantage of that. That certainly could play into their hands.
Oh, big time at the timing of a yellow if you're suddenly in before everyone else.
Right. John Miller now on track, chasing this car. John Capestro Dubets now showing the way. Heard from him earlier. Very enthusiastic about his chances, and he's got a massive, massive lead.
Yeah, I don't think he's pitted.
Ah, good point. So that is still his Anderson.
Yeah,
you're right.
Still Anderson behind the wheel, so they've elected to do the overcut here. The problem is they're now going to hit traffic right now with drivers trying to get up to speed and get into a rhythm.
Yeah. So what that does is it shows a lot of faith in Anderson's pace. He had some clean track to work with prior to that and was able to put down a couple of flyers, but now that he's in traffic, see if that leads to a call to the pit lane.
Yeah, he's pretty efficient there in clearing that one car. Now he's got a little bit of clear road ahead, but it can really backfire on you when you got that bundle of cars coming out, maybe running at a slightly reduced pace to what you could do.
The other risk, of course, is if a full course yellow should come out, everyone who has pitted already would effectively cycle through ahead because they would then have to make their pit stop after the resumption of the race. So that's the risk they're running at this stage.
Yeah, and there's no performance advantage or disadvantage like we normally talk about with an undercut or overcut with fresh tires going on board with all of these teams having to stick with the same set of Pirelli tires.
And the only difference is in individual driver pace.
Yep.
That's why you see the Pro-Am cars get the pros in as soon as possible, maximize their stint time.
Silvers, they can split the difference or go all the way deep into it, but again, that traffic comes into play as well in terms of backfiring on your strategy.
So John Miller has turned over to Chandler Hull. Here comes Mackay Stevens through. More or less slots him in where he was running before, but maybe with a little extra buffer.
That's Garrett now at the pit lane, right? That's the 44, I believe.
Correct.
Their left side of the screen.
Yep, battling with John Jesbray right here.
Yeah, they lost a little bit then, I think, right?
Yes. The Stevens car up the road, though, I think still looking all right. Big gaggle of cars here in front of
There's
the
the
leader.
51. Does he feel it? No slap? Yeah, he's got to. He's just going to fight through that traffic and lose any advantage he may be gaining in terms of his pace.
But Zach Anderson did set the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, just under 2 minutes and 16 seconds. That is hauling the mail around this place in a
the
GT4
lap before
car.
he hit pit lane was a 2:16.3 as well, so another really
Yeah.
tasty lap as well.
Now they are safe from any full course yellows coming out too. Now it's just about executing the driver exchange.
JDC chomping at the bit here on a big high after that win at NOLA. What a sensational bit of racing it was, though, what Mackay Stevens did to get that track position, which we thought was the win, and then it was reversed on the photo evidence.
Yeah, it was amazing. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on the YouTube channel. The finish to the only GT4 America race at NOLA last month. Overturned, as you say, on a photo finish, and someone did the math, judging by the speed they were going, gauged the separation between the two cars, and they found out it was 1/1000th of a second for the margin of victory. How about that?
Yeah, that's pretty tight.
No kidding. Both Auto Technic cars, by the way, in the pits. So Carl Satra giving that a good run in his opening stint now. Comes to the attention of his crew. There goes the car that has led the entire race. Now with John Capestro Dubets behind the wheel. And he will come out well in front of his nearest challenger. Great work. Great strategy.
Yeah, it really was.
Now we see who cycles through in second. I think this should be Chandler Hull.
Yeah, there's Mackay Stevens.
Strong place in third.
Gonzalez.
Looks like the order remains unchanged. The biggest difference is the gaps, and this has worked out very well for Auto Technic. I think Conquest has done quite well in this as well in terms of not being under any pressure. Couple battles here emerging at the top of the hill just as a car rejoins from the pit lane.
Michael Cooper's going to be behind the wheel of that 2 machine here if they've done their stop, which I think they...
Yeah, I think so too. That's the black and yellow and white Aston we got a glimpse of just a few moments ago. Let's try and sort out what we're looking at here. This is a gaggle of cars, all from different classes seemingly. Walker, Clay, those are the top two. And we've got another BMW from STR 38.
A couple of minutes left on the pit window.
And the very aggressive Parker Thompson coming up the inside from Handley Motorsports. Caught that curb, went two-wheeling through. Cost him some momentum there.
There's great battles everywhere. I love this racing. Such a melting pot of manufacturers as well. Driver grading, 3 different classes working together, trying to survive that dynamic in terms of making the right decisions when you need to be aggressive, when you don't.
Clay looks to the inside. Walker fades over to guard. Behind them, as Clay takes a peek again, here comes Parker Thompson up the inside. That's the reigning Carrera Cup North America champion grabbing a spot. James Clay, reigning champion in the AM class, slips to the inside as the Auto Technic car goes wide. That is for the AM class lead, I believe. Certainly for position within the class. 253 giving up the position, it goes wide again.
Wow.
Oh, Rob Walker's got his hands full, able to safely rejoin. Doesn't do his BMW stablemate any favors, however.
There's Chris Allen now behind the wheel of the STI 38 BMW.
That's right. It's the car that Robert Mao started. And now that everyone has cycled through past the start-finish line, we can give you a better picture of what the running order is. JCD, John Capestro Dubets, leads by nearly 8 seconds over Chandler Hull. Mackay Stevens, Tyler Maxson, third and fourth in the silver class. Then John Jesbray leads in Pro-Am for Smooth Racing. Kenton Cook now aboard the Random Vandals silver class entry, running 6th overall. Colin Garrett, Jason Hart, James Clay, Parker Thompson, the rest of the top 10.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that Colin Garrett, Jason Hart battle, which is for P2 and Pro-Am right now. see who comes on top there, and if they can chase down John Jesbray, who leads for Smooth Racing.
So that move that we saw was for the lead in AM. Clay took it away from Allen on the last lap, and Allen now coming under some pressure from Walker. Or did Allen get by Walker on the last lap? In any event, those two were neck and neck at the line for second in AM. There they run, and there is Cooper climbing into the mix here, I believe, as well.
Got a bit of work to do, but he's going to keep digging deep. He led one of the practice sessions. Great to see Michael Cooper back on the grid here.
Multi-time GT4 champion in SRO America Various Series.
So much talent, so much speed, and qualified well for tomorrow. I think he qualified top 4 maybe for tomorrow's race.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Right at the pointy end anyway, so it'll be fun to see how they can do here. Here he goes on the attack.
Yeah, this is not for class position. Shouldn't put too much of a fight up, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, it's a tough one, right? You don't want to take someone out who's not battling for you in class, but you got to keep focusing forward, and you got to reduce those gaps to the next class position.
Clay fighting with Thompson here. This is Thompson trying to clear the AM class leader, and hasn't been able to do it just yet. Now he has. Little contact there between a couple of BMWs.
There's Chris Allen, right? That is for the AM class lead. The car on the left climbing the straightaway, and the car on the far right, the two BMWs.
And Thompson sits right in the middle of it. It's an AM class sandwich. Thompson right there, smack dab between the two BMWs. You can see the strength of that BMW in a straight line. They just swallowed up the Supra.
Clay still side by side. Looks like he may clear Allen. Allen's going to tuck it to the inside, up and over the curb. Had to give him a little bit of room, and Thompson just sweeps around the outside.
And that's where that Supra is strong, through these high-speed stuff, and you've got a real talent behind the wheel as well in Parker Thompson, native of Edmonton, Canada.
A lot of debris there off to the side of the racetrack there through the exit of turn 4. Not sure if it's been sitting there a while and I just haven't noticed it, but certainly saw it on that camera shot.
Again, splitting the two leaders in the AM class, and I'm sure Parker would like to get the heck out of this mess if he possibly could and leave them to their own battle.
And Cooper's going to want to try and make short change of these drivers as well.
Correct.
Try and chase after Jason Hart, try and get his car into a podium position.
Certainly has a chance to do so. Thompson clears the AM class leader, James Clay, but again, this is where that BMW could just stretch its legs down these long straights. And if there's a decent chance, Clay's back in front by the time they get to the braking zone.
Look at the run that Allen gets, double draft there, gets to the inside dirty part of the racetrack, has to give it up. Clay has to woe it down at the same time. This may allow Thompson to use these next few corners to try and escape.
Yeah, that was his chance for sure. Allen's arrival on the scene gave him the chance to throw it in there at a high rate of speed, and now he can put his head down and focus forward on clearing the top 2 in the AM class. Michael Cooper, it'll be his task next in that Aston Martin to try and get through the top 2 in AM.
Yeah, he's really got to try and get through. He's running 4th in the Pro-Am class right now, and Garrett, Jason up ahead. Jesbray continuing to lead for Smooth Racing in the Pro-Am class. Cooper off and off the road. Oh, just to the inside. Just a real game of chess right now.
Big time.
They're trying to be in a move ahead. Gets to the flank, side by side. Here we go.
Cooper side by side there with Allen. Good scrap here coming up the hill into turn number 1. Let's hear more about Michael Cooper and that number 2 machine with Amanda.
Yeah, you take a look at that Aston Martin. They started the day P7 in class all the way up to P4. I was talking to Jason Bell about what the intention of this entry might be. This is the first time we've seen Jason back in Pirelli Gt4 this season. He had diverted to focus solely on GT America, but said, hey, I want to see how well we do this weekend, and maybe there's going to be more races. And he said, we're doing great. He commented on Michael and how Michael qualified for yesterday, but when talking to Michael earlier today, he just said, I'm so happy to be back and driving something. So hopefully this is a great weekend for them and we'll see this car more. But Jason did want to add at the end of my conversation with him that he will win GT America tomorrow, that he had a little brain freeze, locked up the tires, and promises not to do that tomorrow.
See something flapping there on the tail end of that 2 machine that Jason was driving earlier. Michael's continuing to make some really sharp moves here and cutting through this field. Yeah, Jason Bell had the race in his hands really today and had that little lock up in turn one. We wondered if there was an ABS issues, but it sounds like he put it all on his shoulders. But he's certainly going to try and bounce back, and Michael Cooper's charging forward. Still got a ways to go, though, and get on the podium.
Yeah, tough task. Still 20 minutes to go, though, and a full course yellow, of course, would reset everything. But for Cooper, his next target would be John Jesbray, who's dropped a couple of spots here since he took over. The Pro-Am lead now belongs to Colin Garrett. Jason Hart is up now into second. Jesbray on the final step of the podium as they run.
Yeah, I thought that Hart-Garrett battle was going to be maybe the battle for the win there. They got by Jesbray. They're only separated by less than a second, so that's the battle for the win. That'll be a fun one to see towards the conclusion of this race as we still focus here on Michael Cooper. Continues to lead this little pack right now. Not sure exactly what that is, this drop down on the rear end of the car, and how much of a performance factor it is. You can also see bits trailing here from James Clay car as well. Kind of the end defenders come adrift, it looks like, on the right rear corner.
James Clay with the most breathing room he's had since he hopped aboard that car. Allen running very strong. Here comes Walker taking a peek as well. This is for position 2. So first, second, and third in AM run effectively pretty close to nose to tail at this point. Clay 11th overall, Allen 2nd, Walker 3rd.
Yeah, and that next car in line is Andrew Davis. Sharing that car with Seldorf, the ACI Motorsports Porsche Cayman, number 19, back of this little group.
Andrew's such a great coach as well as driver. Really proud of his young student, Francis Seldorf, who started the race. Thinks he's got a chance to be one of the good ones.
Well, if he's 50% Andrew Davis, he'll be a good one, because Andrew's just a top draw class guy. If you have the opportunity to have him drive for you, you've made a great choice.
Back to this battle, and this is for the Pro-Am lead. Colin Garrett has the spot. That's the number 44 Rooster Hall Racing BMW, and right behind multi-time champion in this class, in this series, that's where you'll find the Texan on home soil, Jason Hart.
Yeah, he's working him over here. Looks to the inside. Garrett tries to protect. He's turned him. No, he keeps it together. Jesbray's going to take advantage here and grab the lead.
Jesbray scoots through and goes from 3rd to 1st in one fell swoop. Contact between Hart and Garrett opened up the door, and Jesbray walked right through.
Yeah, a little aggressive move there by Jason Hart. Didn't quite clear him, and as Garrett turned in, there was a little bump, almost turned him around. Thank goodness he didn't, otherwise he'd have probably copped a penalty for that one.
Heck of a save, wasn't it? That car was halfway around.
That's when you have those moments. You're really praying. You're giving the guy you just were in battle with all of the luck in the world. Like, save it, save it, save it. I don't want to get a penalty on that.
Jesbray trying to break the draft down the front straightaway. Now again leading in the Pro-Am class for Smooge Racing. And if you're wondering, where does that name come from? Well, John's dad told me that as a baby, John was a little on the pudgy side, and he earned the nickname Smooge. And evidently, that's what they named the race team after.
I bet he wish he never told you that.
Right? But he's been super impressive. It's his 3rd year racing at this level. Won the AM Class Championship a couple of years ago. Raced in silver last year. Now in Pro-Am, but the difference is he's the pro.
Right.
Previously, big hop over the curb there from Garrett. That's going to cost him a ton of time. Might leave him vulnerable. But quickly, to finish the other story, Kevin Conway is the veteran. He's the one that initially was here to help John learn, but now John is carrying the load as the pro in the lineup. Meanwhile, Jason Hart gets up alongside the BMW, but can't keep it there. The BMW too strong out of the corner.
Yeah, that Porsche and Jason Hart so strong on the brakes there, just can really roll entry speed right down to the inside. Can't make it stick, and then he's in catch-up mode once he gets to the straightaway here. But Jesbray, he had the lead, lost it down to 3rd, and now he's took advantage of that situation as you get the thumbs up here from Johann Schwartz, who shares this 44 car with Colin Garrett. I thought Jesbray would be immediately under attack, but he's actually gapped these two cars.
He's done a really nice job, and these two duking it out for second, and has allowed Jesbray the chance to extend his advantage.
Yeah, that might make Jason Hart a little bit more feisty. If that was just the leader in front of him, when he's sitting in P3, he likes the big points.
Couple of Texans, first and third here in the Pro-Am class. Jesbray from Fort Worth. And Jason Hart also from the Lone Star States. Colin Garrett, of course, from Virginia. Battle on here. And this is for the lead in AM.
Woo!
The reigning champion trying to hang on for all he's worth, but Allen's got other ideas, and Allen goes through to the class lead.
That was really nicely managed. When you come in at that angle to turn 19, it's tough to keep it together. You saw a little puff, just locked up the inside left a little bit, even though these cars have ABS. Just trying to catch up with that scenario, but really nicely judged there by Chris Allen.
Not a household name, Chris Allen, but he does have a lot of racing at the amateur level under his belt. Andrew Davis trying to come through from out of class there. Christopher Allen also went over and ran at the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, which is actually ongoing as we speak in Germany. Finished second in his class back in 2021, did Allen. He's had a few other opportunities to race at a pretty high level, but he and Robert Mao teaming up together for a full season assault on Pirelli Gt4 America this year.
Yeah, and he's done a really solid job. That team's doing great things. They've really turned things around there. John Mallory's running in this race, of course, kind of steering the ship, so to speak. And they've brought in a lot of great personnel and have really upped their game.
Neat to see this program growing. Based out in California for so many years, ST Racing was Montreal-based. Definitely this GT4 program is based in California, and if I'm not mistaken, the GT3 might be run out of there now too. A little bit of a change for that team in that regard. 13 minutes to go. Let's check back in at the front of the field. It is John Capestro Dubets who shows the way. 10.5 seconds the lead for JCD over Chandler Hull, who runs in the second spot. Mackay Stevens fighting on Gambley in third. I think they'll be reasonably happy with that. Mackay told me earlier in the weekend this probably is not the best track for the Mercedes. We'll do our best to make the most of it.
It's going to really tighten up the points, though, because the 34 car had a 13-point lead coming in, and the way it sits right now, 10 of those points would go away, so it'd only be a 3-point lead heading into Sunday.
That is Stevens in the Mercedes there. The car in front, of course, is Chandler Hull. Good to see him in this car. He had a big crash in Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS, in the race that immediately preceded this one. Brought out a lengthy full course yellow. I'm sure he's a little bit battered and bruised, but he's been quick.
He really has. It was unfortunate because he had a great run going, battling for second at the time, pretty much halfway through the race. And big question mark is if they'll see action tomorrow. But let's focus in on today's race. He's done a solid job, sits 10.8 seconds back of our leader, but Mackay Stevens is keeping him honest, and he's trimmed about half a second out of that gap to Chandler Hull on this one lap alone.
And here he is behind Tyler Gonzalez in the Supra. A recovering Kenton Cook, and that car has some battle scars on it, doesn't it? We saw Kevin Boehm have his spin. Some bodywork loose on the left front of that BMW M4. But Kenton Cook has wheeled in this bunch, and that gives him a chance to fight for class position here. The top 5 overall, all silver class cars. And Cook's got 11 minutes now to try and make up a couple more spots and earn some more points.
Yeah, and he's been running laps about 3 to 4 tenths quicker than Tyler Gonzalez, who sits in front of him in that 74 white Supra right there for Copeland. Kenton Cook has really established himself as one of the brightest prospects in our paddock right now, getting a lot of opportunity and delivers every single time he sits behind the wheel of a race car.
Back to this battle, Pro-Am.
Jesbray's just doing an amazing job. I'm not sure how he lost the lead. We didn't quite catch that action, but we saw how he gained it once again. Just got his head down and hitting his marks. Doesn't seem like there's anything that Garrett and Hart could do.
This is up against Colin Garrett, admittedly a bit of an unknown commodity as far as GT4 racing goes. We know how good he is driving a TCX class BMW in TC America, but Jason Hart is creme de la creme of GT4 drivers in this series. His championship results speak for themselves. And for John Jesbray, at this early stage in his development, to be going toe-to-toe with the likes of Jason Hart, that speaks volumes.
It's huge. This could be a breakout win for him. They've won a lot of races over the last 2 or 3 seasons, but this is big time right now, what he's doing right before our eyes. See if he can hang on here, just a few laps to go.
Inside of 10 minutes to go, running laps at around 2 minutes, 17 seconds, at least the front runners are. Such an interesting scrap between these two. The strengths and the weaknesses of the two platforms almost overlap perfectly. The Venn diagram doesn't have much in the middle, does it?
That's right. Did you notice that Jason Hart's car is kind of porpoising around a little bit. Sometimes when you just get a little bit offline, it can suddenly send it in the oscillation, but we've seen the car extremely strong on the brakes. Certainly the BMW here has a little bit more straight line speed.
Dropped a wheel in the dirty stuff there and had a bit of a slide on, but kept the power down. Ooh, side by side here. This is Mackay Stevens fighting with Chandler Hull. This is for second overall and in silver. Stevens was able to get alongside, but now the BMW's horsepower looking strong. Stevens, we know though, he can send it around the outside. He did it at Nola, very nearly won the race on the final lap. Can't get it done here though.
Yeah, he's caught him in a hurry though. He's about 2 seconds back just 2 laps ago, and suddenly he's right on his tail and fighting it out here. So Chandler's defending. Mackay Stevens just really carving this tight little infield section well. As you said, this is kind of themed on the Hockenheim Stadium section. Chandler's going to try and rebuff this. He's going to just try and keep it there at the inside, run around the outside. Does Stevens have the grip to make a move?
Or does
He
Stevens
tucks back to the other side.
Yeah.
He's really working him over.
tries to cross him over here, right up on the rear wing of the BMW. Mackay Stevens, Chandler Hull battling for second in silver with 8 minutes to go.
He sent it right there. Looks to the inside. Nice move.
Boy, it was late, but he made it stick. But how about in this drag race, the dyno run down the front straightaway? Can the Mercedes hold off the strength of the BMW?
Hull's been in a similar situation in the GT3 race earlier this afternoon. Hopefully not the same result.
Here comes Stevens again, late on the brakes, lunges up the inside. They keep it clean. That's bringing Kenton Cook into the mix, but he goes wide in his bid to pass Tyler Gonzalez.
Hull is hanging tough here. Mackay Stevens trying to work him over every single angle. Little hip check there possibly.
Stevens, is he through? Yes, he is. Mackay Stevens up to P2.
Now he's just got to nail these last few corners of the S's, create enough of a gap here before they get to that long back straightaway.
He could still be vulnerable by the time they get to turn number 12, such is the strength of that BMW in a straight line. He needs to be picture perfect here through this section.
I think he may have done enough. He's really compressed this little battle though.
Meanwhile, Kenton Cook's got that visor down. He's hunting down Tyler Gonzalez, looking to the inside. He's late on the brakes. Is he too late on the brakes?
He keeps it together, but he loses the front end a little bit. Allows Gonzalez back through, but Kenton's going to push now. He can see that podium right up ahead of him.
Oh yeah, he's scrapping, he's clawing. This is when he earns his nickname Striker Cook, when he's hunting down the opposition
is pushing
like
wide.
this.
Pretty aggressive move there by Gonzalez to defend. And Hull is right with Mackay Stevens, as you suspected, Ryan. He does have enough run with that BMW to get back on the tail of the Mercedes.
But crucially, couldn't get by. They do have some lap traffic to contend with here in just a moment. Kenton Cook up the inside now.
He stalls out a little bit, gives Gonzalez the run around the outside once again. He's going to use all of that curb, keep him out there. Crossover by Kenton Cook, dives down the inside. That's the way to do it. You get far enough along the inside, don't get to that pivot point where you're going to turn the other car.
You might have been able to put one sheet of paper between the two, but I don't know if you could have put 5. It was that close. Kenton Cook, though, gets the move made.
That was really nice. Great racecraft there by Kenton Cook. It's a great battle. Tyler Gonzalez has given it everything right now, but Kenton manages to make that move work. Now he's focused forward on terms of a podium.
It's another BMW up the road. What a result this would be. What a recovery it would be for the Random Vandals team. Kevin Boehm had that spin, cost him a few spots of track position, but Kenton Cook is absolutely on a comeback drive.
Hull there clearing the traffic. He's back with Mackay Stevens, but this is where Mackay has a little bit of an advantage through this handling section with his Mercedes. Just so good, can ride the curbs. But he knows it's like Jaws is coming up behind you.
Yeah, he'll know, based on the last time by, how much of a gap he needs to have. Oh, this is not good for Cook.
This is awful. Now he's cleared him now. A little bit of damage there on the left front. You can see that fender kind of flared out a little bit on the left side.
He might have been nursing that for a little while now. Perhaps it's gotten a bit worse, though. Cook right there using up all the available racetrack to the very edge of what's allowed.
Gonzalez is digging deep. Great to see his performance here as well. He's shown a lot of pace over the last 2 or 3 seasons as well.
He has. And that Copeland team, they're really stout. They do a lot with a little smaller operation, but they can run at the front, and they're showing it right here. The two Tylers.
Yeah, exciting young drivers.
Mm-hmm. They've been
Hear
paired
about
together
them for a
while.
long time.
Yeah. Started off here in the touring car ranks. They got bright futures ahead of them.
Cook just needs to escape Gonzalez, so he can just look forward and not be defending at all, compromising his lap time. Time is running out for that podium spot. Can he dig deep enough?
Inside of 4 minutes to go, John Capestro-Dubets continues to lead overall, and in the silver class, it's nearly a 13-second gap back to Mackay Stevens. This car right here has been embroiled in a great contest with Chandler Hull for the last 5 to 10 minutes. Ultimately came out on top and has built enough of a margin that that Mercedes can stay in front despite the relative straight line advantage of the BMW M4 platform.
It's so important. We talked about the championship picture a little bit earlier, Ryan. Now, that's 3 points that he's not going to lose in terms of the 51 car potentially winning here today.
Spin here, that's John Branham who's gone around. M-class entry for the TR3 team. We'll see if we can get to the bottom of it. 3 into 1. Calvin, this rarely has a happy result.
Yeah, watch for the next car in line. That's
4
Terry
into 1.
Borschella. Yeah.
Yikes. And that's big damage for Terry.
That's our AM championship leader as well coming into this weekend.
Yeah, seasoned veteran. Don't see that out of him very much. Oof.
It looks so inviting even for the best of the best like Terry Borschella. So much experience, so much success, but this racetrack will entice you and tempt you into making those moves. It looks wide open, the seas part, and then suddenly there's nowhere to go with it.
That incident is, of course, under review.
Debris everywhere as well, and the leader just ran over all of that.
Luckily, only 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Hopefully, don't see any kind of issue from that debris field. What a drive. John Capestro-Dubets, and he called out his teammate in that interview Amanda had. Zach Anderson had an excellent opening stint, built the margin, and then they gambled with the strategy, running long in that opening stint, capitalizing on Zach's pace, gambling there would not be a full course yellow, and what was already a sizable lead before the pit window opened up ballooned. It became nearly insurmountable at over 8 seconds after the pit stops, and now it's up to 12.
Yeah, and Anderson, how he managed to cut through the initial traffic that he hit when everyone else was coming out of pit lane was really the key factor there. He didn't mess around. He didn't really get delayed too much at all.
This will be the white flag the next time around for this car. Auto Technic number 51, BMW M4 GT4, driven by John Capestro-Dubets, or JCD as he's known around these parts. He takes the white flag, just 20 turns, 3.42 miles to go.
Kai Stevens looking comfortable there, enough of a gap now. He doesn't have to be too defensive in his moves up into these brake zones. Butler's going to keep him honest, though. Really strong run by Chandler Hull once again.
Well, Nakai's got to know any slip up, especially in turn 11, and he can be vulnerable just like that. Puts a lot of pressure on you as a driver when you know you're at a straight line speed disparity. You have to be perfect everywhere else to take advantage of the advantages that you do possess.
Yeah, and essentially the top 3 in the championship run top 3 as well today in the silver class.
Now again, high commitment moves from Mackay Stevens to take positions away late in a race. Where have we seen that before?
Yeah, he's got such class. I mean, such a fast driver, and just when he gets into those side-by-side racing duels, he's just magic. Just really performs at such a high level.
Yeah, for Random Vandals, putting the pieces together here a little bit. Looked at this lineup at the beginning of the season. Kitten Cook, Kevin Poe, my goodness. They should be there at the very front of the field, but it was really Kevin that was quick to point out this is going to be a learning year. There's still a lot that he needs to figure out about driving these rear-wheel drive cars. His pace today was pretty good. The one spin, though, that probably cost them a podium.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of time loss. And he'll learn from that. I mean, it just looked like he got on the curb with the right rear as he turned into turn 12. There was enough just to lose the grip he needed at that pivotal point. And he'll be kicking himself. I know he'll be hard on himself in terms of a podium potentially that got away, but still a solid day.
Certainly so. If you could still score good results on a learning day, well, that's a pretty good outcome. John Capestro Dubets for Autotechnic. This is a team that has been on the rise, and now just one turn away from victory lane. The checkered flag waves for John Capestro Dubets, Zach Anderson, and Autotechnic, winners of race 1 at Circuit of the Americas. And we fall back to the leader in Pro-Am, an opportunistic move from the young Texan John Jesbray. While his 2 competitors were battling for the lead, he swept through and then pulled away. A tour de force from John Jesbray, first win in the Pro-Am class.
He just took off there at the end, didn't he? Amazing performance.
Now dropping back to the leader in Am, it was Chris Allen who made the big pass on James Clay, the reigning champ, and it was the pass that won him the race. A victory in the Am class for Robert Mao, Chris Allen, and a 12th place overall finish to boot. Fascinating stuff as ever. These fields are so deep. They are so strong. There's no shortage of action in Pirelli Gt4 America. Gt4 globally is a platform on the rise. Grids are extremely strong in Europe. You see them on the grid in GT World Challenge Asia. You see them in British GT, and certainly here in America too, in Pirelli Gt4 America. And the race winner overall, well earned to Autotechnic, John Capestro Dubets, and Zach Anderson.
Yeah, really solid day by that group. 2 victories on the bounce, so it really bumps them up in the championship, closing that gap to the leaders from Conquest Racing, Mackay Stevens and Jesse Webb. And just great to see some good green flag racing. We've had a few races this year, even in this class, where we haven't seen a lot of green flag racing, other than the bump at the start. That was a good day.
Groundstrike fastest lap of the race as well to Zach Anderson, on whom so much relied in their strategy. He had to be quick. He had to manage the traffic when he caught it well, and he did. And on the way, set that fastest lap of the race.
Try to pick up a few marbles there, raise the ride height up, pick up a little bit of weight, pass post-race tech, of course, which all of those things are checked on.
Was something like that ever the difference for you?
In terms of
passing tech? Were the margins that close?
Good question. I don't think I recall ever losing one in... we were better cheaters than that.
Pro-Am winners, John Jesbray and Kevin Conway. Last year was a tough year for them in some respects in the silver class. A silver class that admittedly was tough for everyone if you weren't Eric Filgaris and Stephen McAleer.
Wow, that was a juggernaut, wasn't it?
No
that
kidding.
Group together, RS1 and McAleer and Filgaris, and we're seeing what they're doing at the next level this year.
I was about to say, all the GT3 teams are learning that now this year. But now in Pro-Am, I think a good fit for Jesbray and Conway, and again for Jesbray to be able to test himself against the pros, showing what he's made of today. Fantastic stuff as we look at the race results from race 1 of 2 here this weekend. Autotechnic with the win. Conquest, another strong performance, so consistent as they have been for several years. STR38, great run from Chandler Hull and John Miller, and especially for Chandler coming off of that big crash. I guess he was favoring his wrist a little bit, or maybe his hand after that crash, but when duty called, he hopped aboard and put in a pretty good stint there at the end.
He really did. And I mean, hats off to the overall winners there, right? JCD and Anderson, but I think Jesbray was really a standout. We didn't see how he lost the lead, but we saw how he got it back, and then we saw how he drove away from Colin Garrett and Jason Hart. So that's a stunning day for that young man.
Absolutely. And in the AM class, top 3 finished effectively nose to tail there. Really compelling stuff in all 3 classes here today, at least behind the 2 guys you see on the right-hand side of the screen. They had things pretty firmly in control out at the very front. A few cars, though, towards the back here that were caught out by the way this race started. Some early contact, certainly for Gibbons and Owen, Pappas and Bleekmo, and really their race lasted 1 corner. That was it.
Yeah, see if they can bounce back tomorrow from the pole position, get that car on the grid.
Long night ahead for some teams trying to repair damaged race cars, with race 2 looming in under 24 hours' time. But that is the challenge of professional motorsport at this level. These teams are very professional. They will be up for the challenge. If the cars can be repaired, you better believe they'll be on the grid. And there's John Capestro Dubets with that comic book themed helmet he's got. I love that. With a big hug from Zach Anderson there. Those two make quite the pairing. And this deal, for them to run together, came together super late in the offseason. We're talking just a few weeks before the start of the year that this deal came together. And man, it's looking like a pretty wise choice to pair these two with the run of success they're having. How about John Jesbray? Big smile for him. First win here in the Pro-Am class. He and Kevin Conway will be celebrating this one here for the next half hour or so, I suspect, and then turning their attention to the race tomorrow. Let's go ahead and go to Victory Circle, where Amanda Busick has caught up with our winners.
It's happening.
Zach, I was able to catch up with your teammate JCD at the top of the race, and just to be honest, he was bragging on you and your performance and putting you guys in the right position for him to be able to take over, and the performance that you had already seen on track out of you so far. What would you say about him?
Oh gosh, he's lights out. He is the real deal. JCD can take it to anybody, and I'm lucky enough to kind of be riding on his coattails right now. He is ascending and launching out, and people are starting to really know what's up. And you know, and he's never been stingy about like when I'm faster than him or he's faster than me. We make each other better, and it's healthy, it's fun, it's the best. I'm so blessed to have him in my life.
John, Zach was talking about just the struggles of last year and the pain of last year, back-to-back winners. How refreshing are these moments?
You need these moments, right? This is what you work for. This is all the hard nights. This is all the sacrifice when you want to be out with your friends. I can't tell you what it feels like to be working out of school and seeing people on TV racing and wanting to do that and working your way through the different ranks and finally getting a little bit of, a little bit of value within the paddock and having teams reach out. And like Zach said, our goals are GT3. We're on our way there, I think. And I don't think he's riding my coattails at all. He's still the best driver I've ever known. He taught me so much. And he's an amazing friend. And today's success is absolutely on his performance putting me out front. I just had to bring it home and not mess it up. And our boys, I mean, this was for you. This is for everyone that's ever supported us. We wish
Charlie, thanks Rob, thanks everybody.
We wish the Smiths were here. I mean, this is for my family, his family, every family, and so much respect to our competitors, and we look forward to racing them again.
Congratulations to our silver winners. Well, in Pro-Am, gosh, they were the AM champions 2 years ago. They won a race in the silver class last year, now racing in the Pro-Am class. A hug from Jack Baldwin over here, but Kevin, we even watched a video with you earlier about just talking about this class. And when you look at the competition that you guys are racing against, how does it just continuously hold you accountable?
It really keeps us accountable for sure in GT4 America. It's some of the best GT racing on the planet. I don't care what you want to talk about, the racing in Europe, Asia, anywhere, this is where it's at right here. And so proud to be a part of Smooge Racing. It's our home race. We got Smoogies all over the place. And this kid drove an amazing stint, drove back to the lead, and just really thankful for this entire team. Every guy and girl on this team does an amazing job. We've grown a lot, and just so thankful to be here. Thankful to Cooper Natural Resources. This is the CNR's home race. The Toyota Evo ran awesome all race, and we got some work to do for tomorrow, but we're really excited to be here and back in victory lane at Cota. It just doesn't get much better.
We saw you guys celebrating when you got out of the car, just big hugs, big emotions, and what a move by you. When you guys saw each other for the first time, what went through your mind, John?
Man, I was just so happy to win in front of my home crowd. You know, I have 60, 70 people who showed up for this, and to be able to pull it off of all places, Cota, was it really meant something. And Kevin did his job in qualifying, put it super far up the grid, and we just maintained since then.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
See if we can track down our AM winners as well. And Robert, when I was talking to you on pit lane, you said that this was a miserable feeling waiting to see how this one was going to
finishing the race and having to sit and watch that. Absolutely painful. I had to turn away with 12 minutes left. I just walked away. But Chris kept it together and actually pulled a nice gap. So it made for awesome to see him cross the finish line.
Chris, I saw you prior to your stint, and you said I was a little too early for the interview with you. What made you so certain you guys were getting the win here today?
I just had a feeling. I knew that Samantha Tan racing team was going to put together a good car for us. And sure enough, Rob gave me the car in a good position. We rolled out. Unfortunately, James came out in front of us on the next lap, and we sliced and diced a little squeeze job. But at the end of the day, James started drifting back, and where were we at the end? First place.
Congratulations, guys. And I think you just got the thumbs up from Samantha Tan, so well done on that.
That would be team owner Samantha Tan. Got to keep the boss happy. So well done by those two, picking up the victory there in the M class. Let's look back at the highlights from the first race of the weekend. This is how it got started. Big moves all throughout the field. Unfortunately, funneling into this tight turn number 1 in a few cars. That was where their race ended.
Yeah, early day for some, but once we got going again, it was a really thrilling race. I mean, Zach Anderson, great job at the start of this race. Little problem here for Kevin Bohm, loses the rear end of that BMW, can't recover it. They would rebound for a solid top 5 finish by the end of the day, however.
That's right, good battles all throughout the field. This was for the lead at the time in the AM class. It was James Clay taking it, at least for the moment. But he'd have a fight on his hands for the rest of this race. So many of those top runners in AM all running close to each other towards the end. Here's a nice move. Kenton Cook, so close, able to knife his way to the inside and grab another spot away. That was from Tyler Gonzalez, and that got him up to the 4th position late in the going. But it was all about Auto Technic and John Capestro Dumet. Zach Anderson started the race. They take the checkered flag first in the first of 2 races here this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Fantastic racing in race number 1. Race 2 is coming your way at 10:20 a.m. local time here in Austin, Texas. Hope you join us for that. For our entire crew, Amanda and Calvin, I'm Ryan. Thanks so much for joining us. See you tomorrow for race 2.